Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you for
Good
coming to
morning.
be with us today. Welcome to the EV6000 webinar. We are excited today to be doing a live demo with you in your homes today, and then walk through about a 20-minute session of questions for us and for you to hear what questions you guys have. So I'm Alex Mastroni. I'm the marketing specialist over at Magnaflux. I am the one who is emailing you guys blogs and social media posts, and now I'm organizing webinars as well. So along with me today, I have Samantha Lane and Kevin Rogers, our two NDT experts with us, who are going to be walking us through their experiences with the EV6000. I'll pass it over to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alex. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. I know it's getting crazy with the holidays quickly approaching and the end of the year drawing near. I'm Samantha. I'm on the sales team here at Magnaflux in North America. So I help support all of our regional sales managers, our distributors here, and of course our customers as well. And with me today is my awesome colleague, Kevin Rogers. So I'll let him introduce himself and then we'll kind of get things rolling.
Hello, everyone. And I'd like to echo Sam's sentiment and say thank you all for being with us today. I know your time is valuable and we appreciate you taking some of it to come on the webinar, listen to what we have to say, hopefully learn a few things, but most importantly, share some knowledge and information throughout our industry.
Awesome.
Sam?
Awesome. So I want to give you guys just a quick kind of breakdown of what you can expect for today's session. I'll do a quick introduction of all of our UV lamps that we currently offer. So I'll kind of go through them quickly and some main differentiators between the three. And of course, if you have more questions about those, please let me know and we can take it offline and talk more about that later. And then Kevin and I are going to go through some of our favorite features of the EV6000 itself. Kevin has everything, but I don't know if you can see it. I just have this, so which is perfect because it's what we're talking about today. I'm not jealous. I'm just putting that out there. I'm not jealous that Kevin has everything. He's not even laughing. Okay, so we'll go through we'll go through Kevin's going to take you through certifications, the importance of a good even beam profile. He's going to show you some demos, and then I'll touch on durability and the IP65 rating and what that means. And then Kevin's going to go over the importance of peak wavelength as well. And then I want to actually go through the blog with you and how to get to that and some other features of our website that I want to share. And then, of course, like Alex mentioned, we've got questions that we're going to go through at the end. Kevin, you want to kick us off with some talk about certifications, the beam profile, and then let's go through the demos?
Absolutely. So we've got a video set up for you today to kind of go through what the performance and beam and certification look like, the actual documentation. So I'll turn it over to Alex and she can run that video for us.
To show you some of the information and some of the important things to realize when you're purchasing a UVA LED inspection light. First, the certification report. As you can see from the documentation here, our max output on this lamp is 4,800 microwatts per centimeter squared, with the requirements of being between 4,000 and 5,000. Our wavelength requirement is between 360 and 370, and our lamp tests at 366. An average output on the lamp is 4,104 microwatts, with a requirement of greater than 2,000. So the testing, the certification ensures that you're buying equipment that's going to be in compliance with all the regulatory standards. As we talk about standards, let me take you to the product data sheet for the EV6000 handheld LED UVA lamp. As you can see near the bottom of the page, we reference the specification compliance. ASTM E2297, ASTM E3022, ISO 3059, in RRES 90061, which references some of the specific requirements of Rolls-Royce for their UVA LED inspection lamp. The two primary criteria for the Rolls-Royce standard are that the maximum output not exceed 5,000 microwatts to ensure that there aren't reflection problems on polished surfaces, and also to ensure that there's a uniform beam across the entire inspection area. In other words, we're saying that we don't want to see light and dark spots, hot and cool spots. The beam needs to be uniform to meet the standard. I'm now going to set up with the EV6000, and we can get a look and see what output we have. Here I have my UVA black light meter and the sensor for it. I'm going to place that in the middle of the paper. I've got my 15-inch measuring stick. We use this because 15 inches is the test standard requirement for E3022 to ensure that your light has a minimum sufficient amount of output. Put the stick here, I'm going to put the light here, power it up, and we're currently reading 3,160 microwatts per centimeter square. For aerospace application, most people will look at a minimum of 1,200, and of course with Rolls-Royce you can't exceed the maximum of 5,000. As you can see as well, once I move the sensor out of the way, I'm going to dim the lights down now, and I want to show you the uniformity of the beam. No hot spots, no light and dark spots. This is our EV6000, and as you can see, this is our 9-inch circle for our inspection level quality. Very uniform light covering the entire surface.
Our certification report ensures that the EV6000 meets all the applicable standards. And I did mention it, the 15 inches is the reference distance of the light from your inspection surface to use for your daily certification testing. Okay, Sam.
Awesome, thank you. I just realized I didn't go through quickly all of our UV lamps. So just to kind of give you guys an idea, we have 3 that we currently offer. We have one large overhead, which Kevin has, but I don't have, called the ST700. If you guys can see it there, that's the ST700. So that's perfect for mag benches, inspection booths, at the end of penetrant lines, so on and so forth. There are a couple of cool unconventional applications for that for another time. And then we have 2 handhelds. We've got the EV6000, which is obviously what we're focusing on today, and then we have the EV6500, which Kevin has that one too. Again, not jealous. Basically, the biggest difference between the 2 handhelds are going to be exactly what Kevin was just talking about, and that's the certifications. So one reason why our EV6000 is the most widely used of all of our UV lamps is because it has every certification needed up to and including aerospace. So if you're questioning, if you do any aerospace parts in your application at all, and you need handheld, it's your guy. So that's something that I wanted to touch on, but I also wanted to talk about one of my favorite features of the EV6000 is how durable it is. There's something called an IP65 rating. So basically, the EV6000 has an IP65 rated aluminum housing. It's fully sealed. So what is IP65 anyways? IP65 is basically a rating system that refers to the environmental conditions that a piece of equipment is made to handle. So IP stands for ingress protection, and then it has 2 digits. The first digit is the level of protection against dust, particulate, solids, things like that. And the scale on that first digit is 0 to 6. So we've got a 6 on that. And just if you're wondering, like, ew, dust, like, why is that important? Mag particle is considered dust based on its size. The second digit in that code is the level of protection against water or liquid. So the scale on that one is goes from 0 to 8. So we've got a 5 on that, and what that basically means is you've got protection against low pressure jets of water. So think if you are using it at your mag bench and you're bathing your part and you get splashback into your light, something like that, rinse station, aerosol use, anything like that, you are protected. It also has this kind of flexible running that protects the lens of the light itself. So if you, not like you want to drop it on purpose, but if you did happen to drop it, if you are bringing it out in the field, or if you drop it, you know, when you're working at the bench or whatever, it's going to be protected. The lens itself is going to be protected. Kevin, I think you had something else to say about the aluminum housing itself, right? I want you to touch on that if you don't
just
mind.
to touch on some of the additional features with regards to the durability. We build our EV6000 and 6500 with an aerospace grade black anodized aluminum housing. You see a lot of the other fixtures out there, they're using plastics, and our concern with those is through prolonged exposure to the carrier fluid in a mag bench or to the fluorescent penetrant on a penetrant line. Sometimes plastics can have a tendency to age and degrade and start to crack. The anodized aluminum is going to be very resistant, very durable. We've got the seals to protect it from egress of particulate and water, as Sam pointed out, and also the shroud on the front, and this protects the lens. And as you can see, you can't really see, but that lens is probably 1.5 inches away from the surface of that shroud. So we're ensuring that the most critical point, which is where the LED elements are in the lens that protects them, is protected as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I know you mentioned that the cord is super durable as well. When considering penetrant and plastics are not friends. Penetrant likes to eat plastics, so the actual cord itself is made to withstand penetrant and other chemicals. If you guys, I wanted to mention this, if you guys have more questions about 65 rating or different topics for that matter, check out our blog. We have tons of different topics. If you ever want to kind of dig in on anything, there's definitely one on IP65, but we have a bunch. And if you go to our website, up on the top kind of ribbon, you'll see resources. And if you hover over that, you can see blog will show up. So if you go there, and there's a search bar, so you can literally search IP65, you could search penetrant, you could search UV lamps. I mean, there are different really, really great resources there. But yeah, let's keep going. Kevin, do you want to touch a little bit on the importance of the peak wavelength?
Okay, well, we've got a video that we're going to show, so we'll have Alex cue up the video for why wavelength matters. We see a lot of people when they think of UV light, you know, they think of things that they might have seen in an amusement park in a haunted house type of application, and you recognize, you get in there and the UV light, it reflects off of white surfaces, but it also provides some illumination. And that's because the wavelength of that UV light is very close to the visible spectrum. The problem with that is you're over 400 nanometers when you're in that range. And UV for inspection purposes needs to be 365 nanometers plus or minus 5. So why don't we take a look at the video and you get a little better idea.
The next thing that I want to talk about with you and give you a hands-on demonstration of is that the understanding that wavelength matters. Not all black lights are the same. Black light that you might find in some industrial or commercial lighting catalog that might be suitable for home entertainment or video games or something of that nature is not necessarily suitable for inspection. As we've already talked about, our EV6000 is certified to 365 nanometer wavelength with intensity at 15 inches, somewhere around 4,000 microwatts per centimeter squared. If we set the sensor up here again, and we hold the lamp up, and at our 15-inch inspection height, and I'm showing 3,080 microwatts per centimeter squared. And as you can see, we've got plenty of illumination of the entire area in our standard inspection beam circumference, which is approximately 9 inches. Now, what I want to show you is one of the items that's commonly being used today to do inspections in a number of different industries, and that's the UV LED flashlight. It certainly is convenient from a standpoint of being able to access tight spots. But the problem we run into, if it's not a tested and certified piece of equipment, is that when you get to this 15-inch point and you're looking at intensity, we're now at 50 microwatts per centimeter squared, 50. And it's not because this isn't a bright light, it's because it's not the right wavelength. We're getting 50 microwatts in the 360 to 370 nanometer range, but we're getting a whole lot more. And as you'll see when I shut off the white light, it looks to be a fairly bright circle. Certainly it isn't as bright as the EV6000, and let me overlay the EV6000 on top of this. And you can see there certainly is more intensity out of the 6000, but the other problem is that the flashlight just doesn't have the right wavelength, 360 to 370 nanometers. So wavelength is as important in having a tool that's going to do the inspection properly.
Thank you, Alex.
I meant to ask this earlier for you guys, but if you don't mind, in the comments section, just letting us know we want to know where you guys are using your UV light. Whether it's at a horizontal wet bench, whether it's in the inspection booth at the end of a penetrant line, or somewhere else. Is it in the field? Is it in a rinse station? Just curious. Would love to hear that from you guys. And then something else I wanted to mention. So I know we already talked about blogs and where to find them on our site, but this comes up every now and again. And if you aren't familiar with it, it's really helpful. On our website, if you need to look up, I don't know, safety data sheets for products, chemicals of ours that you're using, or product data sheets for, say, the UV lamps. If you go to magnaflux.com and you go up to the right-hand corner to that search bar and just type in, I mean, anything, L10 coil, EV6000, ZP4B, whatever you're looking for, you'll get a whole list of options that relate to that particular thing that you were searching. So you can get batch certs, you can get SDS, I mean, pretty much anything under the sun. That's by Magnaflux anyways. But I wanted to make sure to let you guys know about that as well.
Okay, my friends, now is the time that you can submit your questions in the chat. We can get those to start flowing in, but in the meantime, we do post daily content on our social media sites. We are on LinkedIn and YouTube and Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, where we do giveaways and share our knowledge with you guys about NDT. So on there, we have asked you guys for a couple questions to see what you guys want to learn about UV lamps. So our first question comes from LinkedIn, from Randall. Hi, Randall. He wants to know, what are the safety concerns with using these UV lamps, and are there any special precautions to take?
Okay, I'll go ahead and jump in on this one. And the only real concern with using UVA, ultraviolet A light, is eye protection. Safety glasses that have an ANSI rating of Z87.1 plus U6 are sufficient to protect against 99.9% of UVA wavelength light. Most safety glasses will have some type of an ANSI rating. So just look for this one, Z87.1 plus U6, and that'll protect your eyes. The only concern being people with glaucoma and have had lens replacements absolutely need to have these type of safety glasses to ensure that they don't suffer any retinal damage. Your skin, your arms, your hands, things like that aren't a real concern. It's UVB and UVC that have the potential to cause burns on your skin. UVA is entirely safe. So with long-term exposure, you might want to make sure you wear rubber gloves. But if you're working on a wet bench or you're in fluorescent penetrant, you probably want to have the gloves on anyway to ensure you don't have any skin irritation problems just from the chemicals.
Thanks, Kevin.
Next, we want to know, we got a question in from Instagram saying, what are the benefits for customers when purchasing an EV6000? So this will be people who are convincing purchasing and asking about, I need to know why this EV6000 is the best, and I need to convince them why. Can you tell us why, guys?
I think one of the features that Kevin and I went over just a couple minutes ago about the evenness of the light itself, the intensity of the light itself, the durability of it, so it's going to last a long time and be able to kind of last in a number of different work environments and work conditions, right? Of course, it depends on how hard you are on the light, but it's made to last. So I think that's a huge, huge benefit. And the fact that, and Kevin might want to add something, but the fact that the light is so vibrant, I've actually had customers that have come back to me after they've purchased it, the EV6000, in fact, specifically, and said their inspectors are just thrilled. And it's like night and day. So imagine you're already working in this dark environment. You need to see certain things. Like we want to make it easier for you guys. We want you to be more efficient. But yeah. Kevin, did you want to add anything to that?
Yeah. In addition, looking a little bit at the technology of what we build, you do have the long-term durability of the aluminum housing. It's not going to degrade over time, but also the LED elements themselves. What's outputting the light for us? We're using 25,000 hour LEDs in our EV6000s. So these are rated to provide optimum output for 25,000 hours. To translate that into something a little more real, 10,000 hours equals 59 weeks. So if you left this light on for 59 weeks nonstop, you'd have 10,000 hours of use in it. So a 25,000 hour rating with normal usage might give you optimum performance for 5 to 7 years easily. So there's a lot of value and quality in what we're building. Okay. One of the other things that you'll see with the EV6000, if you look in many of the lamps today, and the EV6500 is one of those, if you look at the lens surface, you can actually see the LED elements. With the EV6000, you're not able to see the elements because we've got a special pass filter on there. That pass filter is designed to ensure that when you're inspecting on a highly polished or highly machined surface that potentially is going to have a lot of reflectivity to it, that you're not going to see the reflection of those elements on that polished surface, because that can very easily obscure an indication that might be critical for you to find. So with the EV6000, that's part of what makes it a very beneficial design for the aerospace industry.
I'm so glad that you mentioned that, Kevin. This is kind of a non-conventional application, but one of my customers that actually manufactures medical devices needs basically the same certifications on their light for their for their testing as something that's aerospace, because their parts are that same very highly polished aluminum, titanium, things like that. But thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah, you talk about the medical industry. It's not something we commonly think of, but if anyone out there has had a hip replacement, a knee replacement, any of those artificial socket or ball things for hips and knees, it's very likely that they all have to be inspected 100%. And it's very likely that those were inspected with Magnaflux penetrants and EV6000 lights.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Kevin and Sam, can you talk to us more about stabilizing with the EV6000 and handheld lamps, as well as any tests you do for stabilizing?
Well, yeah, typically with stabilizing with LEDs, it isn't like the old mercury vapor lights where they had to warm up, and that probably is one of the absolute benefits of LED over the mercury vapor. If you're still using the old style lamps, they have to warm up for a certain period of time before you can use them for an inspection, before you can do your certification. There's a lot of heat output off of them. That's why if you look at our older units, they had fans on the back of them. They had to, because of the amount of heat that was put off. You couldn't turn the lamp off, because if it cooled down, you had to let it cool down completely before you could turn it back on again. And then you've got a delay before you can start inspections. The LEDs are pretty much light on, light off, but for the stabilization, the wavelength can vary slightly, and you'll find that when you purchase one and you see your certification report, it'll show you some variations in the wavelength during the warm-up period. They never get outside of the certification range of 360 to 370, but there is a little bit of variation in that wavelength output for about the first 4 to 5 minutes that the light's on. And so typically we'll recommend waiting those few minutes before you take your light meter reading each day.
Okay, so that is all the questions and time we have today. Thank you, Sam and Kevin. That was wonderful, and we love hearing about the UV lamps. I have up here our contact information. If you ever have any inquiries for us, you can also reach out to us on social media. If you have any questions, we would love to hear any feedback about our products so we can make them better every day. Thank you guys from across the world, and have a wonderful day.